From wherever you are around the world, welcome and thank you for joining us. Today we're going to be exploring the world of persuasion. That's right, the power of being persuaded with Dr. Robert Levine. He's the author of this wonderful book, The Power of Persuasion, How We Are Bought and Sold. He's also a professor in the Psychology Department at California State University, Fresno. Let's welcome him to the circle, Dr. Levine. How are you, sir?
I'm doing fine, and how are you, Carlos?
Fantastic. This is a fascinating book. You persuaded me to buy it, and I loved it. So can you tell me a little bit about how you got started in writing this book?
Well, I'm a social psychologist. I'm particularly interested in the things that happen to people that we don't expect to happen to ourselves. And one of those is how often people tend to do things and accept things that they never imagined they would before. And how do people get other people to do these kind of things? So I began studying this under the general idea of persuasion. And what I did was I began by looking at some of the people who are very good at doing this. The kind of folks that seem to have, we talk about they have a talent for getting people to do things that people didn't want to do or ever thought about doing. And I started off by looking at salespeople, the super salespeople, and what I found was that the super salespeople weren't the ones that people were afraid of. The super salespeople, people knew when that was happening to them, and people could put up their guards. But it was these subtle people, these people who learned to come in under your radar. And what I decided to do was to go out and watch them firsthand. And I took a couple of jobs. I took a job as a Cutco knife salesman. I took a job as a used car salesman, to the embarrassment of everybody around me. And I watched what the good ones were doing, what the smart ones were doing, and it was really quite an experience. I've been doing social psychology for about 40 years, and I would say that the greatest piece of education I ever got was hanging around used car sales lots.
Really? They are persuasive, that's no doubt about that, if they want to survive. So what are some of the tactics that you saw in the world of sales?
Well, the first thing that I saw was that the good ones, the smart ones, don't come on too strong. In fact, the best ones come on as if they're not salespeople at all. The greatest move is to come in quietly and come in as if you're a colleague, as if you're an educator, or as if you're just a pal who's trying to give you some information. Now, in some fields, some of the people that I studied, that wasn't so hard to do. Like I studied college professors. College professor comes into a classroom, and people expect to trust this person. And the trust is something for you to lose. Not so hard to do. But when you come in as a used car salesman, it's another story. The car salesman I spoke to, the people around me who were training me, they were trying to show me the ropes, and all of them understand that you come up to a customer and ask them, so what kind of car you want to buy? What are you interested in? That it's going to be, what are you going to say? Just looking, or, that's okay. I don't need a salesperson. And of course, they'll snicker to themselves, and so why'd you drive up here and why'd you come on the lot? So how do you come in? How do you come in quietly? How do you do it? How do you do it as if you're something else? One of the things that I was taught, which is it's a tough move for a car salesman, admitted, but that they said, Bob, go on up there, go say hi to the person, and when the person says, I don't want to see a salesperson. I'm not really interested. I'm just looking. And what we were supposed to say was, well, that's great, because I'm not a salesperson. I'm a product consultant. Okay, admitted, tough move. It's a tough move when you're dealing with a belligerent customer. But this is kind of the sensibility of it. You come in slowly. You try to situate yourself as somebody. I'm going to help you get what you want. I don't want to sell you something if you don't want to buy it. How are we going to get there? And that's how I get my foot in the door. Once you get your foot in the door, you now move very slowly. You move in various steps. So if you talk to car salesmen, they'll almost always tell you that they're asked to go through a series of steps. Sometimes it's 8 steps, 10 steps, 12 steps, and you have to move through each of the steps. You never move to another step until you've got a confirmation at the first step. You never move. So like the first step is getting a foot in the door. Second step is going to be to try to sell yourself as a salesperson. At the same time, you're trying to sell the dealership. The next step is often the walk around. If you think back to that experience, well, we may have a car. Let's take a walk around the lot and look at cars. And I told you I don't have any time. I don't really want to deal with it. Well, I understand this, Carlos, but I have some things I just want you to see. They may give you some information to help you make this move. So once this happened, there are a couple of things that are going on at this step. One is that I'm starting the clock, which is the salesman's friend, because the longer I can get you to be on the lot, the more time you've invested, the more you have to lose by not buying. The other thing that's happening here is I have time now to establish some sense of trust with you. And maybe I can get other things going. I can get reciprocity going. I'm being nice to you. I'm giving you my time. I've never told, I don't say this to you, but I'm working on commission. If I can get you to stay with me for long enough, you get that feeling. It's like if you were in another store that, God, I've been with this poor guy for 2 hours. I really should buy something. It's that sensibility that I'm working on. So I'm doing that. And then I'll move on to the test drive. The test drive, which car salesmen will often tell you, is the watershed moment, because once you come back from that test drive, I'm now going to do something called the assumed close. The assumed close being that, listen, we've been together now for 2 hours. I took you out on the road. I told you all about this car. I assume now you're serious about it. I assume, in fact, that you're going to buy this car, and we just have a few little specifics to work out.
All these steps are deliberate.
It works like this. So step after step after step. Yeah.
And they're all deliberate then.
They're all deliberate. They are absolutely deliberate. And as I say, there are a different number of steps in different places, but it's the understanding in the pros that if you skip any one step, you're going to be in trouble.
Interesting. So is there any
step
unconscious?
Step,
oh, go ahead.
No, never ask when you're. Even if your goal is something major in a person, that you want to get them to commit to your group, you want to get them to commit to put a lot of time in, to put a lot of money into it. You never come right out and ask for it. You start with a small request, move up step by step by step, until the last request is not so much bigger than the request before. And that seemed to me, when I studied salespeople, and then later I studied cult leaders, studied dictators, that is the key that the good ones use to get people to do things they never imagined they would do.
That's fascinating.
Hello, my name's Matt, and I'm an addict.
My mom was addicted to prescription pills when I was very young, before I even turned 1.
Are you or someone you know struggling with alcohol or drug addiction? Has everyone given up on you or your loved one? The caring staff at Elite Care understands and treats you as a whole person. We offer individual and group therapy, holistic healing such as yoga, nutrition, and spirituality, medication management, and PTSD treatment. By building upon your strengths and rebuilding broken bonds, we help you begin a successful life. With our staff of licensed psychotherapists and doctors, you can be assured of the highest level of care. Elite Care is the best option for long-term rehabilitation from drugs and alcohol. Contact 888-511-0607 for more information.
We're going to cover some topics here rather quickly. There's so much in this book. That's why people have to get the book. They have to get the book. But first part, financial manipulation. How does that work? Can you give us an example on that?
It depends exactly what you mean by financial manipulation, but certainly when we're playing with, we're playing, okay, say you come into my gym. You made a New Year's resolution. You're going to start to get yourself in shape, and your wife, your whatever, pushes you to come into the gym, and you come in, and now I want to get you to commit to my gym. I want to get you to buy a gym membership. So first I show you around. You're asking me, how much is it? How much is it? And I don't want to give you a price. I want to show you the place. I want to get the clock ticking. I want to get to know you. I want to get you to feel committed to it far enough that I want you to feel like if you don't buy this now, it's going to be a loss, as opposed to something that's going to actually cost you. And then when we finally get to the point where we have to talk about money, I'll throw out a price. And you're going to go through this mental calculus. You're going to think, is this a lot? Is it a little? You don't know what a gym costs. You don't know what a gym membership costs. And now that I've thrown out the price, I wait and I let it settle in. And once it settles in, then hopefully you haven't walked out on me by now, but maybe I've reached too far. Now I can start to give you things back. I can say, well, if you do it today, I'll give it to you for a certain price. Well, we're running a contest right now for all the salespeople. The salesperson who signs the most people from contracts gets a big prize. Oh, there are always contests in these kind of places, and so I'm going to give it to you for such and such price. The key when I'm talking about money is to never exceed what anybody expects. Always take away. Start with a high price, go to a lower price, go to a lower price, go to a lower price.
So I see the resonating theme are steps again.
Yeah, it's all steps. It all. If you're gonna push people outside their limits, do it slowly.
Let's come down to a more relevant issue currently right now, which is unfortunate, but it's there. Cults and terrorism. Now, these people are able to solicit a lot of members, and they're not offering away a free bag of goodies from a gym. How are these guys doing it?
Okay, well, there's a big difference between cults and terrorists. Cults are not so different from the used car lot. If we look, you look at somebody like Jim Jones in Jonestown, the worst of the worst of the worst, and that 938 people supposedly voluntarily committed suicide. They famously took the Kool-Aid, they drank the Kool-Aid, and these were people, if you look at these people, they were relatively, again, quotes around it, normal people. They were people like you and me. Who were looking for something good. They joined. Jim Jones didn't come up to them and say, "Hey, would you like to come to my church today? Because it's going to be real nice. And you're going to make some friends. Within about a year, I'm going to take everything that you own. Within 3 years, I'm going to move you down to Guyana, and I'm going to have you take cyanide, and we're going to give it to all the children, and everybody's going to die." Nobody says yes to it. But how about, hey, this is a great place. Look around. Why don't you just come to our services? Next time around, hey, why don't you help out in our soup kitchen? Next time around, hey, we need to save some money. because we're doing all these good things. Why don't you come and move in with us? Step by step by step. All the way to the point that before he had the suicides, there were fake suicides. They had fake suicide drills. And so moving again, step by step until people just couldn't get out. So that's when you're working with cults, that's often the kind of sequence that people go through. When we look at the personality of cult joiners, we find very little that's unique in the kind of people who join cults. But what we do find is that people who join cults tend to be folks who are looking for something important in their lives. They're looking for some meaning in their lives right now. They've often gone through a major change, maybe a major loss, maybe they've moved to a different place, but they're searching for something. And that often is what the cult leader is going to begin with. That's what they're going to prey on. Mm-hmm. You're not joining a cult, you're joining a group of people who are trying to save the world for the better. Okay, now we move over to terrorists. Terrorists have there's a whole different mentality there. Terrorists are folks who are often searching for a larger cause. They're within the mind of the terrorist is the sensibility that you're doing something to save the entire world. It's not just your organization. You're making a political statement. You're giving yourself over. You're often knowingly giving your lives because you have such a strong belief in what you're doing. Cults tend to be very internal. So once a cult grabs you, you're strongly discouraged from any contact outside the cult. With terrorists, it's not the same. With terrorists, you're proud of what you're doing. Your family is often proud of what you're doing. Your village is often proud of what you're doing. So the terrorist leader, the terrorist trainer, is working on a different sensibility. They're often when somebody is signed up to be a suicide bomber, they're given a lot back, but they're also there's a point when they make a video. They're often making a video which it's understood is going to go to your family so they can remember you. For this proud moment, for what you're doing. This doesn't happen with cults. If you join a cult, if you're in a cult, you're told you're often punished if you try to get in touch with your family. So there's a real patriotism on one side, and these are some of the differences. On the other hand, there's a certain bit of my cult-like thinking. I mean, you're focused, you're narrow, you're made to believe that this is what matters, nothing else matters. Anybody who doesn't believe in this is bad. Anybody who does believe in this is good.
Tell you,
that's a lot of ground.
Yeah, it is. We only touched the tip of the tip of the tip of the iceberg. So much going on here. I know one thing. I think my 4-year-old somehow read your book. I don't know how she did it, but she persuades me every day. And she uses all sorts of tactics, my little 4-year-old.
I'm going to tell you, one of the things that I learned is that the car salesman, the good persuaders don't come to a social psychology for advice and education. The social psychologists and the fathers, we watch the persuaders, we watch the good ones, and just, at some point you just stand up and applaud. Tell her, honey, I just hope, may the force be with you, and may you use it to better the world, as opposed to.
I completely agree. Once again, The Power of Persuasion, Dr. Robert Levine. You have to get the book. It's a wonderful book. We barely touched it. You really have to get it. Thank you so much, Dr. Levine, for being on The Circle. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Remember, our motto is simple. Wherever there's psychology involved, even in persuasion, we're there. Hopefully we persuaded you to come back. See you next time, everyone.